Hello folks, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In this video, we will be discussing a current affair topic presented to you by your faculty, Sushma KP. So what is the topic that we will be looking into today? The Strait of Hormuz crisis, especially with respect to your naval mine strategy that your Iran is trying to use. What exactly is this? So first and foremost, US President Donald Trump in his Truth Post Social has held that preemptively there has been strikes on Iran, which particular area, if you see, on its naval fleet which was trying to deploy your naval mines. Understanding? Now what this brings us a question is about your on February 20th, 2026, US and its ally Israel have jointly been attacking Iran. Now, in this, Iran also, there has been many speculations telling this will be a short war, this will be a very quick war, in the words of your US President Donald Trump. But it is not seeming to be slowing down, but it is trying to take new dimensions. One such dimension is your naval mines. See, first and foremost, your Strait of Hormuz is a maritime global choke point which has the power to terrorize all the countries throughout the world because of the vulnerability it poses. Why? Because 20% of global crude oil needs are met through this place. On the north, it is bordered by your Iran. Iran has a strategic control over your Strait of Hormuz. It is just almost roughly 21 miles wide, and it has been suggested that your Iran has roughly somewhere around 3,000 to 6,000 naval mines it has. Before we get into the naval mines, let's just briefly see about your Strait of Hormuz. Strait of Hormuz is between your Iran and Oman. It connects your Persian Gulf, Gulf of Oman, and its eventual entry into Arabian Sea. It's hardly 100 miles. It is very narrow U bend, which is almost of your 21 miles. And also, it is a very critical sea lane because even though it is just a narrow bend, it has the depth to handle huge amount of traffic. Understanding? And also, this is the place where it becomes important. Now look at this. This particular U bend, what I'm talking about, this junction is where your Strait of Hormuz is. The north is your Iran. All these surrounding countries, Saudi, Yemen, Oman, Iraq, Kuwait, okay, all these country oil shipment, that is exports, happens through this region primarily. And also most of these country economy is dependent on this oil. Your countries such as India, China, Japan, all are extremely reliant on this particular zone only. Understanding? Now, what is this concept of maritime global choke point I used? See, like in the image I showed you, it is a narrow sea point. Yes, this particular narrow sea passage yet carries huge amount of trade volume, where its economic valuation is around 600 billion per year annual trading. If this gets blocked or disrupted, the tremors are felt throughout the world. Understanding? And also, other straits, what are there like this global choke points means your Strait of Hormuz, the one we are discussing. Next, the Strait of Malacca, Suez Canal, Strait of Gibraltar, and Bab el Mandeb. Now look at this region. You see that U bend that we are talking about? Even though it is too narrow, its depth can handle your massive volume, so much so that 20% of global crude oil dependence is from this lane. Usually, this is the most busiest, okay, passage, but as of now, once the, let's say, the war kicked in, hardly there has been only 73 naval vessels passing by. Now, I use the word naval mines. What is this naval mines? First and foremost, understand this way. The concept of naval mines, we can go back to your USA during your World War. Uh, this was predominantly used during your World War, but the concept of naval mine goes back to your American Revolutionary War. What is that? A student in Yale University by name David Bushnell. He found out that your gunpowder can be exploded even under the sea. That is what opens up to your new arenas of naval mine. It is still used today. Largely, we have seen it in your World War also, specifically your World War II period. Okay. So, what are naval mines? These are explosive devices which are kept in the underwater. What does it target? Ships and submarines. How can you trigger that? Either through contact or even through signals. Because they are deep down hidden in the water, it becomes very hard to detect. What is the purpose? Let's say this is one particular zone I don't want ships to enter. So, in all these ways, I will put or place your naval mines. So, these ships can't pass through. Yes. So, I am purposefully making them restrict the enemy movement, and also this will not allow them to enter. See, this was one live image which was seen during a World War II. Okay, if a ship is coming by here, and imagine if it carries, if I told you Strait of Hormuz is for your crude oil shipping. If the ship carrying so much precious cargo, men, lives, all of this explodes, cargo gets destroyed, then how much of a loss it is from crude oil perspective, human loss, and also environmental disaster. So, what are the types of naval mines you see? One is contact mines. As soon as the physical hull of the ship comes in contact with this naval mines, it will explode. This is very simple and this is what is very widely used. Second type is influence mines. These are triggered by the movement of ships, any ships, either by their magnetic field detection, pressure, sound, any of this. Third is controlled mines. Okay, controlled mines means these are operator activated. You will target the precision of the enemy ship, which you want, that only you will detonate. Next is moored mines. Your moored mines are the most difficult ones to detect is because they are anchored with a steel cable below underground. Okay, so they stay there only. So, what are these naval mines means? These can be dubbed as weapons that wait. Understanding? Because they are hidden underwater. It is very difficult to detect. And one more issue is, see now there are some things also called as land mines. If you put it in land, it just stays there. But one thing with your naval mines is they have a tendency to drift off also. Okay, so that is one issue with your naval mines, and they stay active for long years. Now, there was an issue in 1988 where your USS Samuel B. Roberts. Now, this naval vessel was struck by your Iranian naval mine. Now, it didn't, let's say, submerge the naval mine, but it created massive damage to it. Okay, the crew survived, but what was the massive damage means? The naval mine which was there costed just $1,500 to $1,600. But the repair of this USS Samuel B. Roberts took around $96 million. How much? Where is $1,500 and where is $96 million? This is the, let's say, very easy, cost effective, maximum damage. That is where your asymmetric warfare comes in. This is what your Iran, at least according to your US President Donald Trump, is trying to engage into. Okay, in World War II also, these mines did more damage than your normal any other fleet attack. Why are we thinking that your Iran might use naval mines? See, many experts have predicted that usage of naval mines is like a last resort out of desperation. Okay, but we are still considering the fact that yes, Iran might use it is because of your asymmetric warfare. What is asymmetric warfare? First and foremost, like we said, it's almost 1,500 to $1,600, but what is the damage it can create? First thing. Second thing is it disrupts without direct conflict. Your Iran is said to have around 3,000 to 6,000 naval mines, and the suppliers being your Russia and China. If they use this naval mines in your Strait of Hormuz, the maritime global choke point, then they can block oil supply, they can pressure the global markets, and also it can deter any US naval operations in your Strait of Hormuz regions. So, your US President Donald Trump has claimed that it has destroyed 16 Iranian mine laying vessels. What was the objective of USA trying to do this? Prevent active mining operation, make sure that your free navigation rights are there, and also protect the commercial shipping which happens through your Strait of Hormuz, because Iran is not the only one that uses it. Saudi, Oman, Kuwait, all of these uses these only. Your Strait of Hormuz. Trump has held that there's going to be two conditions. Stop your mine laying activity. If not, it will be met with very huge catastrophic output. Okay, so this is what your US president has held. One of the difficulties with respect to your mine clearances, first and foremost, it is hidden deep underwater. Issue I also told you, landmine and naval mine, the landmine stays put in the same place, whereas your naval mine has a tendency to drift off. Another important thing is your sea mines have no fixed boundary. Understanding? If you see from your global impact, yes, if this was to disrupt your Strait of Hormuz regions, the oil prices will go high, the disruptions will be very higher, security risk is higher, global shipping will go higher, your transport, travel, transit, everything will take longer time. And this will also pose huge amount of environmental concerns also. If your cargo carrying huge amount of crude oil gets exploded, then how much of environmental hazard it poses? Now, with respect to India, India also almost roughly 40% of its crude oil is coming through the Strait of Hormuz regions, where major exporters are Saudi, Iraq, UAE, Kuwait, and Qatar. Many of these countries' ka important aspect of economy is generated through its export of your crude oil. Because of this, as of now, we have been seeing how India is going through your LPG crisis, where the government is trying to handle it, telling that they're going to limit your industrial supply, but make sure that the domestic supply will be unhindered. When all these are happening, also, when such a small thing can cause this much of global disruption, are there no international laws that tells to stop this? In fact, we do have international law on sea mines under Hague Convention 8, wherein it is telling that naval mines can be used by countries but in their territorial disputes to protect their border, but it should not drift away into international waters. So, they do permit usage of your naval mines for defense purpose, and the mines must become harmless when released from moorings, that is when they are drifting off, and safety of neutral ships is required. But in this case, the aftermath outweighs whatever protection you are trying to offer. So, as a conclusion, what have we learned from this topic means your strategic maritime choke points can hold the energy supply hostage, like your Strait of Hormuz. India, China, Japan, all these countries rely on this. There is a chances of high risk of asymmetric warfare on the rise. Low cost mines versus multi-billion dollar, your navy is getting affected. Lastly, the energy security vulnerability keeps on getting exposed, and the need for alternate routes also keep showing up. Understanding? With this, we come to the end of the content. If you like our content, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, share it along with your friends. Thank you.